Hello there, my name's Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working with fat quarters. Now I started with the intention of one project and it did not work out, so I scrapped that idea and just made something easy, and I hope you'll like it. I took a look at some of my fat quarters that I have. I've got a couple of bundles. The one I decided to go with was the green bundle, and I'm going to pull out a few of the light greens and a few of the dark greens. What you see me doing here is taking each fat quarter, and you could press these if you wanted to. I probably should have pressed a couple of them. They had deep creases, but I'm folding this fat quarter in half one way and then in half the second way to make 4 layers, and I'm just going to cut the biggest rectangle that I can from this particular fat quarter bundle. My rectangles are all being trimmed down to 8.5 by 10 inches. And just to let you know here, after I cut out all these rectangles, that is where I attempted to make the project I envisioned, and it didn't quite work out. So I'll show you what I did next. Once I had my failed test block, I realized it wasn't going to work out, so I just started sewing a light and a dark together. So you can see on the left, I've got everything laid out separately. Each different kind of fabric is laid out in its own little stack because I really don't want to have 2 of the exact same together. So if you're ever working on something and you get a little frustrated, this project is a perfect project. You could use 5-inch squares, 10-inch squares, whatever you have on hand. Just sit down and sew. You will make something beautiful, and then you can go back to the difficult project and try again. After separating those chains, it was time to build some quilt rows. After my mistake blocks, I had 36 squares left over, so I decided to build a quilt that was 6 by 6 of these squares. So that's pretty easy. I'm simply stitching 2 squares to 2 squares. Then this little tail end is long enough. I can just flip that over and stitch 2 more squares onto this, and my row is done. Now it's just a matter of stitching the other 5 rows together. This little fat quarter bundle with the greens was very pretty. I will leave a product link. I think I got this about a year or 2 ago, but if you really like this green fabric, you may still be able to find it out there. And I wanted to put a little bit of this in black and white just because I'm trying to make sure my lights and my darks are opposite each other. So I'm going light, dark, and then the following row is dark, light. So we have that checkerboard look. With just 6 of these rectangles that I've cut out and put together in a row, I really didn't need to clip to hold everything together. I'm just starting to stitch at the beginning of the row, and then as I go, I'm nesting the seam so that those 2 seams go opposite, and the seam line will match up when I open this up. Once 2 rows were put together, I joined 2 plus 2 to get 4 rows, and then I added on the last 2 rows to get 6. That last attachment of the last 2 rows, I probably could have / should have maybe clipped those seams. As the quilt gets a little bit bigger, it does tend to shift around on you, but it was still small enough that I felt okay. I was going to be able to nest these seams, and it's such a simple quilt pattern. But definitely, if you're feeling like things are not staying secure for you as you put this through the sewing machine, use your clips, use your pins, use whatever you need to do to get a nice outcome. And here's our finished quilt top. Now, if you wanted to dress this up a little bit, you could certainly put, I would say, maybe a 4-inch border on this one. You could also use more than 36 squares and make it whatever size you want to make it. Definitely stay tuned for that next fat quarter tutorial. Thanks for joining me today, and I do hope to see you back again real soon.